Let's start to build a floor system for our model. Most of the time for carpenters, what they get is a floor plan. And this is the floor plan for your model build. It's a little small shed. First of all, we're going to look at the title block. This is carpentry class, model build floor plan. And as I can look at this thing, I can start seeing I have walls, doors, and windows in it. The scale is every 3/4 of an inch equals 1 foot in real life. And it tells me, it's got a special note here, says the outside dimensions are 12 feet by 7 feet. So this building in real world is 12 feet this way, 7 feet running this way. And in the construction world, we measure width over height always. It's always the width direction comes first, no matter how you're looking at it. If you look at this window, it says a 2040. That means it's 2 feet wide, 4 feet high. This door is a 2068, 2 feet wide, 6'8" high. And that's how all dimensions are written in the construction world. Most of the time for carpenters, this is all you get is a floor plan. Rarely do you actually get a floor system framing plan. But in this case, we created you one to make it a little simpler. Again, in our title block, carpentry floor system plan, the scale equals 1 inch equals 2 inch. And this is actually the floor plan for the model. If you remember the building, what we talked about building here, this building in real life is 12 foot by 7 foot, but we're going to build it to the 2 inch scale, which is going to make it 24 inches by 14 inches. You just take the numbers and double them. So on this plan, we've already done all the conversions into the 2 inch scale. So for our building, running across is going to be 24 inches, 14 inches, front to back. All right, we'll start looking at some notes. I've already made some notes here that this joist here is running horizontally, where the other ones run into it. This is our header joist. These are our common joists all the way throughout. We have a built-up girder that appears to be center of the building. You can assume it's center if it looks center, but it doesn't have any other dimensions. Then we have our solid blocking or bridging that's going between each of the common joists. And if you notice in this blocking, they're actually offset. And then they too appear to be center across this span, because this common joist is going to span from where it contacts this header joist all the way over to where it connects to the girder. If you look close in detail, when you actually look at your paper copy, you see it a little clearer. You can see that I have a rim joist on the outside that passes all the way to header joist to header joist. And it's going to connect where you've got the header joist, and the rim joist is going to run into it. The header joist is going to go past full 24 inches. My rim joist is going to be 14 inches minus the thickness of 2 header joists. In this case, the material we're working with is 2x4s that we've ripped down to a 1/2 inch thickness, and they'll still be the true 1.5 inch wide. So I'll have to deduct the thickness of a 1/2 inch, and that's going to make my rim joist at 13 inches. You notice here, my girder comes all the way through and attaches to the rim joist. And there's 3 of them built up. So my girder length is going to be the entire length of my building, which is 24 inches. This girder is going to span 24 inches minus the thickness of my 2 rim joists. So it's going to be 24 minus a half. My girder will be 23 inches. The girder material will be 23 inches. Let's see what other notes we got here. You'll notice there are common joists that come in and fill in beside the rim joist. And if you look at the plan, the rim joist goes completely solid. These commons come in and stop at the girder. So the process that looks like to nail this thing together is going to be take header joist, nail rim joist to them, nail your girders in place, then nail your commons in, and then your bridging. Got a note here, 2 5/16 from the outside of the edge to the first joist. What's that mean is the outside of the building here, outside this rim joist, if you're locating on center, because it's 2 5/8 on center from common to common to common to common, that's adjusted to the 2 inch scale for our building. So from the outside to this very first edge is going to be 2 5/16. It's just like when you're using a tape measure and you're 16 on centers and you deduct half the thickness of your 2x4, which is 3/4, and you drop back to 15 1/4 to put your first mark there on your header joist on where your location of your commons are going to be. So in this case, we give you that, it's 2 5/16 from this outside edge to this inside edge, and from there out, every inside to inside is going to be 2 5/8 on center all the way down. Now that we've pulled all the information we can from this floor system plan, we can identify all the members. We have a pretty good idea of how this, you can see this evenly spaced out, kind of the process that it's going to go together. We need to make us a cut list. All right, have us a cut list. Dealing with joist, header joist, rim joist, girders, common joist, and the blocking. From a plan earlier, we looked at the header joist. We've got 2 of them. They're at 24 inches. Our rim joists, which are on either outside, the whole building is 14. But we got to deduct the thickness of our header joist, so that gives us 2 of those at 13. Our girder is almost the same length as our header joist, but we have to deduct the thickness for our rim joist on either side, so that's 24 minus 1, and it's at 23. And we have 3 of those, and that will literally be 3 boards sandwiched together. Down to the common joist. If you look at the plan in this case, you can just count them, and you can see that there's 9, and then you go back and fill in. So there's 10 per run, so a total of 20. And if you do the math between the distance between the header joist and the girder and lay it all out, you end up with a measurement of 5 3/4 inches. But what experience has taught us is that you need to cut them no longer than that. I would actually cut them just slightly under 5 3/4 inches, because of what tends to happen is as you nail them together, it tends to bow out the header joist, tends to get pushed out. So I would cut them slightly less than 5 3/4, no less than 5 5/8. On the blocking, on this case, you can just count the pieces, and there's 18 of them. But I put a question mark here because experience has said it's a whole lot easier for that one to wait till you get to the end, take what scraps you have and just custom cut each piece of blocking that's going to go in place. Because you're not going to be the most accurate at laying every one of these common joists in and making sure they're perfectly spaced. So it's a lot easier to come in and measure once you've got your common joist nailed in, measure from A to B, A to B, A to B, and then to take those blocks and then nail them in place.